Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Fed Up, your no BS nutrition podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Marie, certified personal trainer and nutrition specialist, working with clients since 2014. After swimming up diet culture's bullshit stream for so many years, I am fed the absolute up with how miserable it's making people feel when we are supposed to be getting healthier. This podcast is here to help you gain your sanity back so you can stop yo-yoing once and for all and finally learn how to trust yourself so you can enjoy food again without fear or shame while still getting to your health goals. My aim is to teach you how to detect the BS in not just the food and diet industries, but in all realms of life, because I know that, like me, we are all just a little fed up. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Okie dokie artichoke, welcome back to another episode. I am so glad you're here. Thanks for listening. If you are enjoying the show, I would love if you could leave me a 5-star review. I don't think I have any yet, so if you are a regular listener, I would so appreciate it if you could leave me a little commento wherever you are listening from and share it to your Instagram story, send it to a friend. The more people who know about me and listen to my voice, the better. No, just kidding. But I do hope to just be able to reach who needs to hear these things. So if you have a friend as obsessed with skincare as I am, send this to them because we are going to be talking about the nutrition side of skincare. Of course, this is the Fed Up No BS Nutrition podcast, but I also am going to be covering a little bit about like the topical skincare stuff because I'm a little bit obsessed and I get a lot of my information from like dermatologists, not TikTok influencers. So I do want to cover a little bit of that, but also being extremely transparent with the fact that obviously I'm not a dermatologist or an esthetician or a skin expert, but I have learned a lot of things. And then I'll link like a really good source that I like to follow on YouTube because he's just really helpful with understanding what types of products to use and why and how to layer them and things like that. So tends to be really helpful. But I really wanted to go into what is the true essence of having healthy and glowing skin and how can we eat foods that will support that? And also other lifestyle factors, of course, affect our skin. And I'll touch on acne, but I'm not really talking about acne. I don't believe there's enough research that really has solidified like nutritional patterns that cause acne. However, if you are eating poorly, you're malnourished, you're eating in a way that you're not getting your omega-3s, you have really high inflammation. Like there are situations where you clean up your diet and your skin improves. However, some people will eat really, really well and they have hormonal acne no matter what. And it's not really within your control. I was that person. I still have acne, but I've struggled with acne through my teens, through my 20s, and now I'm in my early 30s and I still get flare-ups, but I took like a medication that affects your hormones to get rid of my acne. It's not necessarily something that like, oh, just wash your face more or wash your face less. Or like, again, there are things that maybe will work for some people. But I just want to put that disclaimer out there that if it's acne that you're looking for like a nutritional solution to, I just want to say like, bear with me. We're not quite there yet. Some people, I'll just briefly mention dairy. Some people do have a tendency to cut out dairy and then they find that their acne improves. Again, there's mixed research with this. They haven't really found like a causal effect. However, there is a correlation with like people who consume more dairy and some of them have higher acne. And interestingly though, it's not like necessarily whole cow's milk that's causing it. Like anyway, it's really convoluted. So I'm not really going to go there. But what I am going to talk about is some key nutrients and vitamins that you've probably heard of that affect skin health, but some that maybe you probably haven't. And then I want to also say that most middle-class Americans that are listening, or middle class anywhere in the world, if you are listening to this, you most likely are not suffering from like a true extreme deficiency. We have fortification in foods. If you get a wide variety of foods, you probably are fine. However, there are people who don't eat all the food groups, who don't eat very much at all, who are in lower than optimal ranges, who, again, you might have an absorption issue or you have chronic GI distress, and that creates an issue with absorbing certain vitamins. So I do want to say, like, most people are not like truly deficient that you will see some of these symptoms, but there are certain cases, yes, 100%. Alcoholism, malnutrition, again, because of malabsorption, if you have Crohn's disease or chronic diarrhea, or if you have, cystic fibrosis, or like something that obviously is causing other anatomical physiological changes with this, or you have an extremely limited or restricted diet. So those are the people that are really like red flags. But anyway, going into the first couple of vitamins, one thing that you'll see out there if you look for supplements for hair and skin and nails, those are typically the three: hair, skin, and nails. And so I know we're talking about skin today, but one of the vitamins that you'll see, or one of the groups of vitamins, I should say, is the B vitamins, right? And the reason this is because deficiencies in B vitamins are most often like obvious through skin, hair, and nails. So if you're deficient in B vitamins, B6, B12, B9, B1, like whatever it is, the B vitamin complex, a lot of times they also are pretty synergistic. So being deficient in one, you might also be deficient in the other. You'll usually find a B vitamin complex because there's more than just one B vitamin. And you're going to notice deficiencies in your skin: dry, cracked skin, gray skin, hair loss, hair thinning, bloody, scabby skin, things like that. Those are, again, symptoms of deficiency and malnutrition. It's not necessarily that you take more biotin and then you see like your hair grow. So it's not really, again, there's a lot of mixed evidence here, but taking a vitamin that claims to like grow your hair because it's a B vitamin, that's not necessarily true. If you're a vegetarian, if you're alcoholic, again, if you have like GI symptoms where you're having some malabsorption things. My cat just jumped through the screen. Oh my gosh, you little pest. Yeah, that's what you get, you little jerk. All right. Well, we're just going to keep going with this. Okay, so if you happen to hear birds in the background, I'm just going to leave the door a little bit cracked so that he doesn't cause a nuisance. And hopefully that doesn't distract the rest of this podcast. Okay, so speaking of B vitamins, where was I? Again, deficiencies are going to show in your skin, but adding more B vitamins are not necessarily going to help improve your skin. That being said, if you are vegetarian or vegan, you are at risk for B vitamin deficiencies. If you drink a lot of alcohol, if you're on a diabetic medication like metformin, that can also cause B vitamin deficiency because of absorption issues. So this is a real thing if you have deficiency. If you're noticing your hair is falling out, your skin is really, really dry and cracked for, less reasons than just being wintertime or something like that. And I want to, again, emphasize that adding a supplement is not necessarily the solution here, only because B vitamins are, some of them are soluble, or all of them are water soluble, but some of them are they don't cause toxicity. You don't really have to worry about it. You'll just pee it out, which means your supplement is expensive pee, as they say, or it can actually cause toxicity and it can compete with absorption for other vitamins. So you don't necessarily want to just be overdosing yourself in these different nutrients that we're going to be talking about today. And of course, this would not be a skincare and nutrition podcast if we didn't talk about collagen. So let's talk about it. So oral collagen, like oral supplemental collagen, does have mixed evidence right now. There is more and more evidence that it could be beneficial, especially collagen peptides. But you can eat collagen peptides if you are eating animal products. Unfortunately, there are no plant collagen sources. So collagen is from bone broth and the bones, so meats, things like that you're eating of animals. Liver, I think, has collagen. No, I think it's just... Okay, I think I'm thinking of B vitamins still. I have to look that up. What other... Let me see. I'm just curious. Yeah, collagen is obviously found in the liver, but let's look at, is there any in the food? Okay, yeah, it does have a type 1 collagen. Okay, but anyway, it's mostly bone broth and the bones of animals, but I'm pretty sure if you're just eating, again, a varied diet, you probably are getting enough collagen, but there is some evidence that taking collagen peptides could be helpful. I'm not super convinced yet that I'm going to be buying a supplemental collagen, but I'm not against it either. I could be changing my mind. I'm in the process of changing my mind. So as more evidence comes out, and the thing is that the collagen supplements that are on the market, they're not necessarily tested and regulated. So you don't know if what it contains is enough collagen to even be relevant and impactful. And that's the thing about supplements, regardless of what it is a lot of them are third-party tested, or, they're reputable. They've been in business for a long time. They probably contain what they contain, but a lot of them do not. And there's more supplements that influencers are starting, supplement companies are popping up every which way because they're unregulated. It's a much easier, lower barrier to entry, but a much more saturated market. And you have to be really careful. So another thing that if you're looking at is if you are deficient in other certain vitamins that are precursors to collagen synthesis. Synthesis is your body making collagen, because that's what happens. Your body makes collagen. So I've also seen mixed reviews on putting collagen on your face. Again, we'll talk about topical, and I'm just in the school right now of, you want maybe something that has collagen in it. But again, there are evidence that your body synthesizes its own collagen from nutrients on the inside. So topical collagen may not be as beneficial as they say. But hey, if your skincare product has it in there, it's not going to hurt you either. So making sure that you can produce enough collagen, you want enough vitamin C and vitamin D and vitamin A. These are the fat-soluble vitamins a lot of times that are in the cell membranes, so to speak. So you want some healthy fats, so to speak, omega-3 fatty acids. Those are going to be also what helps lower inflammation in your body systemically all the way around, which improves your skin. But those types of things also help to, again, fight against the free radicals or oxidative damage and sun damage and things like that. It comes from your antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E. It comes from your food. So if you are eating a diet high in plants, that's where all of this comes from. But also omega-3 fatty acids are also found in fish, sardines, mackerel, walnuts, seeds, and then vitamin C and E are found in berries, citrus, nuts, peppers, so plant foods. And then you want a lot of fiber. Fiber is what reduces your inflammation every which way. It's what builds your microbiome, which everywhere, again, those supplements with prebiotics, probiotics, those are great. Sure, some of them. But if you're eating enough fiber, that's how you actually improve your gut microbiome and lower your inflammation, which also helps lower your cholesterol, which we'll talk about too. Cholesterol and blood sugar regulation is huge for skin health because of the effects it has on the vascular system, and your skin needs blood flow, right? So skin products with vitamin C, I've heard, are also great. But if you don't have vitamin C into your body and you're not absorbing it properly, or you're not using, again, citrus, this is how sailors used to get what they call scurvy on ships, long voyages, because they were vitamin C deficient. So just like a squeeze of lime, squeeze a lemon, you're probably not vitamin C deficient. However, if you never eat fruits and vegetables, then you're probably lower in what you could be for some of these antioxidants that are in plants mostly. So another vitamin we want to talk about is, of course, vitamin D, which is literally synthesized in your skin. This is why you need sunlight. It converts the molecule 7-dehydrocholesterol in the skin to vitamin D. So that's the precursor, and then the sunlight hits it and mechanisms happen, and then vitamin D is like, sup, what's going on? Let me go throughout the body and help you out. And it's going to protect your skin from diseases like even dermatitis or herpes or melanoma. So again, where do you get vitamin D? The sunlight. There are some other foods and whatnot that we can get vitamin D from, but making sure that you are getting 15-20 minutes of sun exposure a day, good for your eyeballs and your circadian rhythm. However, I'm going to use this segue to talk about sunscreen, because one of the most obvious signs of skin damage is from the sun, and it's wrinkles and tanning and pigmentation and things like that. Tanning is sun damage. It doesn't matter if you look cute when you're 21 doing it. When you're 41, it's not going to look very cute anymore. So all you're doing is accelerating aging. So I want you to get your 15 minutes of sun exposure, but I also want you to be regularly using skincare. And this is, or skincare, sunscreen on your skin with your skincare. If you do nothing else for your skin, wear sunscreen. And this is coming from both the health side of me as well as the person who, my mother had melanoma when I was in 8th grade, and I kind of got it beaten into me to be wearing sunscreen. So let's also talk about vitamin A, because you see that in a lot of skincare products, and there's different types of vitamin A, right? So you have retinoic acid. So they're all vitamin A derivatives that you'll see in skincare products, right? Dietary retinol, again, comes from liver. Just eat liver. Just kidding. I don't love liver, but I don't even think I've ever tried it. I'm not even willing to try it. It's so, I can just imagine the texture. However, it is really, really nutritious. So I know that there are certain like liver supplements that you can take that just contain the liver. Again, they're unregulated. You don't know if it even contains liver, but that's a good way, maybe, if it works. But fish, dairy, beta-carotene is the version of vitamin A in like vegetables that make them orange. So orange vegetables, and all of those things are going to be, again, helpful to ingest so that it can affect DNA structure. That's what retinoic acid does, is it gets down to like the DNA level in the nucleus of the cell, and it begins to change the gene expression. It begins to turn over cells, and epithelial cells are like your skin cells and your GI tract cells. They are the ones that like turn over really rapidly, and they need to have like a constant flow of like vitamins and nutrients and things like that because of this rapid turnover. And vitamin A is a part of that. So whether you're using it topically, which is also a huge thing that you should be doing, especially starting in your 30s, huge dose of vitamin A is what Accutane is. So again, people have had experience with that for acne, but that's why it works for skin topically as well as, nutritionally. Again, eat your liver and eat your plants. So plants have something called polyphenols, and we are still kind of investigating these compounds, but we know that they have anti-inflammatory compounds, antimicrobial properties. They protect us against, again, oxidative damage and stress. They inhibit enzymes that degrade collagen. So over time, these, we have enzymes that eat up our collagen, or whatever how you want to word that. And so polyphenols inhibit, which means they stop those enzymes from degrading collagen. So your collagen is healthy and happy for longer. So again, we don't exactly know the full mechanisms behind this, but if you're not eating enough plants, you cannot be supporting your skin. And if you're not eating animal products to get your B vitamins and your collagen, you are probably going to have a lot more trouble getting enough of those vitamins to support collagen synthesis on the skin level. Now, another thing I want to talk about is, of course, hydration. If you've ever spent a night drinking or out in the sun or just you're dehydrated, your skin is going to show it. So again, it's not necessarily that more water will immediately change the hydration in your skin barrier. So this is where I definitely recommend looking at the YouTube that I'll link in the show notes for Dr. Daniel Sugai, because he goes into like protecting your skin barrier, because you could be hydrated, but if your skin can't actually hold on to water because what you're doing topically is stripping your skin of moisture and then you're not moisturizing properly or properly for your skin, then you're going to have, again, dry skin even though you're hydrated. But say you have a protected skin barrier that's taken care of. Yeah, if you're dehydrated chronically, constantly, or even just one day, I notice it. I look drier, my skin looks sunken, my eyes are kind of puffy. So notice a night after drinking or a night where you stay up too late, because sleep is going to affect it as well. Sleep is where you're recovering. You're doing that turnover. And if you're not sleeping, you're going to see it in your eyes, your vitality, right? Like sleep is the number one thing for everything. So be on the lookout for these little things that might be affecting your skin, like your sleep, but you're just like topically doing a whole bunch of things, or you're buying the collagen supplement, but you're not eating meat products. That would actually be probably beneficial for you because you're getting collagen other ways. But if you're eating enough meat, you probably don't need a collagen supplement. At least like right now, again, I'm not truly convinced to be spending as much money as some of them cost, and they jumped the market. Like, there's so many collagen peptides, collagen this, collagen that, and the research is like barely there. So I like to, not jump the gun yet. Whereas other supplements like creatine have been studied extensively. I am 100% convinced that most people should be spending the money to take a creatine supplement, right? So there are certain things I do agree with. Supplementing vitamin D is another one that most people, especially during the winter or if you don't live on the beach, that you should be supplementing with. But overall, a healthy diet with high anti-inflammatory foods, which means plants, fish, walnuts and seeds, fibers, things like that, are going to protect your cholesterol, your blood sugar, and your skin. Like, this is why just a healthy overall dietary pattern, the Mediterranean diet, and like the style where, again, it's forward in plants, forward in fish, and forward in those anti-inflammatory polyphenols rather than saturated fat, no vegetables, a lot of oils, a lot of sugar, right? Those are going to cause more inflammation because you don't have the protection of the antioxidants and the fibers that you're not getting. So it's not always that like added sugar causes inflammation. It's more that if you have a diet high in sugar, you probably don't have a diet high in polyphenols, in vitamin C, in fiber. So if you do, you can afford to have the cake and the ice cream and the sugars. You're not going to automatically cause inflammation with one meal. It is, again, overall your dietary pattern over the course of weeks, months, years, not one meal at a time. So having a burger and fries, and then the next day you wake up with a pimple, it's not necessarily what caused the pimple, but maybe you're stressed about it. But if you have a burger and fries like every single meal for a while and you just like haven't had any greens or antioxidants or vegetables, or again, like now you have high cholesterol, now you have type 2 diabetes, now you have like chronic disease, and those types of things wreak havoc on your vascular system. And that's what causes heart attacks. That's what causes amputations with long-term unmanaged high blood sugar. Is now you have no blood flow to those areas, to those extremities and the toes typically. And how are you going to have good blood flow to your skin if that's happening, right? Because that's what causes the death of tissue. So if you're noticing that you are overall eating a variety of good, healthy foods, you are probably doing okay. And then I would say just wear your sunscreen, avoid alcohol, get your sleep, et cetera, et cetera. If you are at the point where you are not managing your blood sugar, your cholesterol is high, you don't really eat a lot of plant foods, or again, maybe you're vegetarian and you have a restrictive diet, that's when you want to look at supplementing your B vitamins, supplementing with what you need to in order to get what you need. And that's okay. So everybody's a little bit different. So some other random nutrients that I do want to give a little shout out to are going to be zinc. Again, you're probably not deficient in it, but deficiency will cause skin disorders like dermatitis or even like herpes. And then sun protection, wound healing, like all of that stuff, zinc. Copper and selenium are also other ones that protect against UV radiation. And again, you're probably not deficient in zinc, copper, selenium, but they're good to know just in case. So topical skincare, just to wrap things up here. Sunscreen, I already mentioned it. Moisturizer. If you are not moisturizing your skin after every time you get out of the shower, you get it wet, you're going to have trouble. And even if you have oily skin, you need a moisturizer so that you can balance the oil. Or if you have acne, you want a good moisturizer that reduces the amount of sebum and oil your skin has to produce because it's so dry. But you don't want an oil or a moisturizer that's so heavy that it clogs your pores and causes more acne, right? So you have to decide and look at the YouTube video that I will, mention in the show notes and stalk him for a little bit because he probably has a video about your skincare type. And then typically for me, like fragrance-free, gentle, things like that help a lot more because I have pretty sensitive skin. And then consistency needs to be simple enough to be consistent. And it needs to be consistent enough to be effective. So less is more, consistent is better. And if it's easier for you to use 3 products all the time, then do that rather than, trying to break the bank, break the wallet, or get really confused at buying all these different products. For me, I use adapalene like Differin. Those is like I think it's a retinol type equivalent. I don't know. It's like a synthetic retinol or something. But Differin works really well. It's over the counter. You can get prescription retinols. You can get I also just use if I don't use Differin, I'll use like a retinol moisturizer at night, that type of thing. Again, I use sunscreen a lot in the day. I reapply it during the day. I always make sure I put on moisturizer afterwards. I also started adding some serums. So I use like a hyaluronic acid serum, but a lot of products have that in it, and it's not like you need more. And then I also started just using like a vitamin C serum. I'm not super convinced by it yet, but that is something that Dr. Daniel recommends. So I'm trying it. I don't know. But yeah, cleanse your face with a gentle cleanser, moisturize it, and then wear sunscreen. Those are the basic steps. And then if you're doing nothing else, you are wearing sunscreen in the sun or wearing a hat or just protecting your skin from it, because otherwise no amount of skincare is going to reverse the skin damage. That happens. So stop complicating everything with it when it comes to skincare. It's not that you need a certain supplement or a certain product or anything like that, but you do want a consistent routine that has you, again, eating a lot of plant foods, eating a lot of fiber, eating a lot of good quality proteins and meat from like animal products. And then also, consistently having a nice skincare routine, of course, is going to help. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope it was helpful. And I will chat at you in the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for being here, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, please screenshot and tag me over on Instagram or leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening from. Your support means the world to me and only helps me get the no BS news out to more people. If you're interested in working with me in nutrition or personal training, check out my programs and courses on my website at kaylamariefitness.com and on Instagram at kaylamari_fit. See you next week.